Hi guys, welcome back aboard good old Athena for yet more DIY fun. This week I've already made a little bit of progress. I've gotten the washer and the dryer aboard the boat, and I've also picked up the old cushions for the V-berth up at the workshop. I'm waiting for some insulation for the inside of the hull in this area here where the washer and the dryer are going to be installed. Hopefully I'll be able to install them a little bit later this week, and I also want to build a door for this area here to separate the forward cabin from the saloon. Once I've got those things sorted, then I'll start moving into the forward cabin, so that might happen a little bit later this week. That is very exciting. If you're new to my channel, I've been living on that boat, that 30-foot sailboat over there, for the last 6 years. I've done that so that I could afford to purchase Athena and fix her up. The end goal is for my fiancée Eva and I to start cruising full-time in roughly 151 days. Our plan is to leave Denmark in August and then spend next winter in Scotland, Ireland and England for visa reasons, and then next spring we'll start heading south and prepare to cross the Atlantic. But all of that is still 151 days away, which is good because I've got a ton of things on the to-do list here aboard Athena. A few months back in December, I installed a hydronic diesel heater to heat the boat, the Pro Heat X30. And so far it's worked out fairly well. I've been nice and toasty during the winter. But there is one issue, and that's the fact that the heater is a little bit loud. It is by far the loudest heater here in the marina, and I've started getting hints from the other boat owners that it might be just a little bit too loud. I kind of knew that, so a few months back I ordered this muffler, and well, it just took a while to get here, but hopefully this will help. Muffler! Well, hopefully you guys could hear a difference. I don't have a fancy sound level meter, but I do have an app on my phone, and I figured it might be kind of cool to take a measurement before and after installing the muffler. So let's see if we can get the heater going. I'll crank the thermostat here inside of the boat, and then hopefully in a little bit the heater should turn on. Okay, the heater is just about to start. Okay, we are right around 80 with the heater going. It is also a little bit loud here inside of the boat, as you might be able to hear, but I'm confident that I can bring down the sound level in here by building a little enclosure around the heater. The outside noise is really what I'm the most concerned about. So let's turn off the heater and let everything just cool down. And by everything, I mean the flexible exhaust, because I'm gonna have to cut a chunk out of that to be able to smush the flexible exhaust in place. I'll use a little bit of this furnace cement here to make sure that I get a nice airtight seal. My oscillating multi-tool should make short work of that flexible exhaust. Here is the unmodified exhaust. Let me go ahead and get the muffler in place off camera because it is pretty cramped in there. Ta-da! The muffler is installed. When I put the exhaust in, I had a feeling that I'd be adding this later on, so that's why I put the supports for the exhaust that far apart, so that the muffler would fit in between. Well, let's crank the beast and see what kind of difference the muffler makes. After having added the muffler, we are at 70. I think we were at 80 before, and it sounds a lot more reasonable now. Not only did the muffler quiet things down outside, it's also now a fair bit more quiet here inside of the boat. I think actually the fan heaters are now the loudest part of the system. That is an example of one of the fan heaters, and it's just a couple of 12-volt fans, so it should be fairly straightforward to lower the RPMs to bring down the noise. But let's get back to the muffler real quick. The Pro Heat X30, the hydronic diesel heater I installed, was one of the very few occasions where I get something sponsored here, meaning the manufacturer provides a product to me free of charge because of these videos, which is always super cool. But yeah, that also means that I've got a contact at Dometic, and I think I'm going to reach out to him and suggest that they maybe consider looking at this muffler or another muffler, and consider maybe including or mentioning that in the marine installation kit, because I think having that muffler really makes a big difference. There's probably some of you that are going to ask about the muffler down in the comment section, so I found this particular muffler at Shore Marine in the US, and I've purchased a bunch of the other stuff for the heating system there too, and it seems like a good place place for boat heating stuff. I don't know if there's a better place out there, but at least that's where I found the muffler and, for instance, the fan heaters. But yeah, I'll leave a link for the muffler down in the description. It's the next day, and I think Christmas might have come early this year because this is a big pile of lithium cells. I ordered these a little over a month ago from a company in Hong Kong. These weren't supposed to show up for another 2 weeks, I think. Unlike the freezer, they showed up early. There should be 8 cells in total, so I'm gonna go ahead and get them liberated so we can take a closer look. Oh, that looks pretty spiffy. Now these might not look like much if you're used to looking at lead acid batteries, but there is a lot of energy stored here. There is 7 point something kilowatt hours worth of energy here. That is a lot of juice. And even if we keep the state of charge between 10 and 90% to maximize the lifespan of the cells, we'll still have 5 point something kilowatt hours worth of usable energy. I've seen no signs of physical damage, and all of the cells are within 0.002 volts of each other. I've chosen to go with lithium batteries because we don't have enough room here aboard the boat to carry enough lead acid batteries that would cover our energy need. So yeah, the only option for us really at this point in time was lithium. There are some downsides to lithium. One of them is cost, that's pretty obvious, but there are also some pitfalls you should be aware of before you choose to go with lithium. I'll go into excruciating detail when I install the cells, maybe sometime next month. But yeah, in terms of cost, I ended up ordering these batteries from a company in Hong Kong. I paid exactly $2,801 for these batteries, including the bus bars and the fasteners, and that also includes shipping, VAT, and import fees. Now, had I purchased the same batteries here in Europe, I would have been just a hair under $4,000 US. I purchased the cells through a company called Sky Power International because I'd seen that company mentioned in a bunch of forum posts and Facebook posts. And yeah, it was a really good experience. I got a ton of updates from Julia, and she even posted some photos when the batteries were all packaged up and ready to ship out. So yeah, all in all, it's been a really, really good experience. I'll leave a link down in the description in case you're shopping for lithium cells, and then we'll get back to these beauties next month. Yesterday, the Armorflex showed up. That's this black foamy stuff, the insulation I've put on the inside of most of the hull. The washer dryer area can now join the list of insulated sections. And that means I'm finally ready to attempt to install the dryer and also the washing machine. The dryer will go on top, and then the washing machine will go here on the bottom. Getting them secured is of course really, really important because unlike a house, the boat is not going to be stationary. And when under sail, it's going to be heeling quite a bit. And we don't want the washer or the dryer to come a-flying. I'm going to be using sort of the same strategy for the 2 units to secure them. These are the feet for the dryer. They're plastic, but that's okay. The dryer is also super light. They already had this hole here in the bottom, and I've just threaded that so that it'll accept an 8mm bolt. Unlike the dryer, the washing machine has a really nice sturdy frame, and this will accept a 10mm bolt. My plan for the washing machine is to replace the 2 front feet with, well, a foot of my own concoction using this bolt and some washers, and yeah, we'll see how this works out. But this is going to get through bolted through the shelf that the washer is sitting on top of. I'm pretty sure I'm going to have to remove the headliner here temporarily to be able to fit the dryer. But yeah, let's worry about that later. Let's get the feet figured out first. All I need to figure out is how much the holes are offset, and then I can go ahead and drill some holes. To double check my measurement between the 2 legs, I just made this little test doodad here out of a piece of plywood where I drilled a couple of holes in. And it looks like I've got the spacing pretty much spot on. I've double checked my measurements here a couple of times, so fingers crossed, and let's just get to drilling. Now it is time for everybody's favorite activity, lifting awkwardly shaped items in a confined space. Bit light as a feather. That worked out fairly well. Let me just get these bolts tightened and then we can take a look. If I was to wager a guess, I would say that's almost enough to secure the dryer. But this strikes me as one of those scenarios where maybe a little bit of overkill might be a good idea. So the plan is for both the washer and the dryer to put a strap over the top of them and just tighten that down just to make it even more secure. I've smushed the washing machine in place just to figure out where I want to drill the holes. There's going to be a countertop up here, and yeah, I think that looks pretty good. You have to imagine it with a nicer finish than that, but yeah, that's going to be a nice little area to empty out the dryer. We might end up ditching the dryer when we get to warmer waters, but for now, I'm really glad we have it for that first winter in the UK and Ireland. This is one of the feet that came with the washing machine. You're supposed to turn this to make sure that the washing machine is nice and plumb, and then you lock it in place with this nut. My idea is to take this bolt here, through bolt that through the plywood, have the plywood be sandwiched between these two ginormous washers, and then have one bolt to tighten down here and another bolt to tighten up against the washing machine. After a little bit of fiddling about, the washer is now perfectly installed. Now, I'm not going to be able to hook this up to water because I don't have any water tanks aboard the boat yet. But that's okay, because in a few months I will need to temporarily remove the washer and the dryer again to gain access to the hull to install one of the brackets for the mini bulwark. So yeah, they're installed for now, they're just not hooked up. I'm sure some of you are wondering why I didn't go with a combined washer and dryer in one unit. That question seems to come up every time I mention the washer and the dryer. All of the combined units that I could find also use water for cooling when drying. And in fact, they use much more water for drying than they do for the actual washing part of the process. We will have a water maker here aboard Athena, but water will still be in short supply, and we are talking about a lot of water for cooling. There's also the fact that I don't expect to get the full sort of lifespan out of the washer because it's not always going to sit perfectly level and plumb, because the boat does shift a little bit depending on weight distribution. It was actually one of you guys that made me aware of the brand of combined units that doesn't use water for cooling when drying, but I can't remember the name of the brand. I looked it up and it was roughly 3 times more expensive than the 2 separate units I've gone with. Those are my reasons for going with 2 separate units. A combined unit might be a better choice for you. I'm sure somebody's gonna leave a comment down in the comment section reminding me what the brand was of the combined washer dryer unit that doesn't use water while drying. But yeah. That is the end of the washer-dryer section of this video. This is a piece of plywood, but if you squint real hard, you might be able to see a door hiding in there. It's the door that's gonna go here between the saloon and the forward cabin. There are a couple of challenges. For one, this door frame is a little bit wonky. It's more narrow towards the bottom, and also we don't really know what shape or kind of door we want. Well, I would say that qualifies as the beginnings of a door. Because of the somewhat wonky shape of the door frame, I am going to have to adjust the shape of the door a little bit to get a uniform reveal. Now, I'm not worried about cutting away too much material because I am going to be adding little strips of mahogany on the edges of the door just to make it a little bit more durable. For something like this, a saw on a track comes in super handy because I can just remove a thin sliver of material. These are the little mahogany strips I'm going to put on the edges of the door. That will make it look nice, and also it should make the attachment of the hinges just a little bit stronger. A little bit of filling about later, I think I now have all of the pieces for the puzzle ready to glue together. This piece of mahogany that's going to go closest to the hinges is a little bit wonky. So I'm going to use some tape and a couple of screws to pull it in tight against the plywood. It would of course have looked better if I'd used just clamps and not put screws in it, but I don't have enough big clamps to clamp this down. I've made the mahogany a little bit too wide. I figured it was easier for me to just trim the excess tomorrow with a flush trimming bit. But yeah, well, let's see if that comes back to bite me in the behind. And smush. Admittedly, the door does look a little bit shabby right now. A little bit of flush trimming and some sanding, and this should look like $1,000,000. In the hopes that I get the door installed tomorrow, I better start packing all of my earthly belongings. That's it. I've moved all of my stuff out of Obelix. I'd be lying if I said that it isn't a little bit emotional to see her just be all empty like this. I mean, I've been living here for over 6 years, and it is going to be hard to say goodbye. I've got so many good memories here about Obelix, and well, change can be challenging. She definitely needs a really good clean, and there are also some things I want to fix. Like for instance, the foot pump down here for the fresh water, that hasn't worked in 5 years or something like that, because I didn't use the water tank underneath the V-berth, because it's only 60 liters, so it's easier just to carry small 2-liter bottles back and forth. Also, the cockpit logger lids out here, they're really old. They need to be replaced. One of them has a little bit of rut in the corner. I've got some plywood up at the workshop, and it should be a fairly easy project. I'll also have the canvas cleaned. I'll scrape the bottom and apply new bottom paint, and I'll give the hull a quick polish. In a few weeks, good old Obelix should be ready to go up for sale, and hopefully I can find a new owner that's willing to put in a little bit of time and effort in the exterior. This is an example of an Alban Ballad that's been painted all nice and white and got new windows, and yeah, as you can see, it looks pretty dang spiffy. If somebody is willing to put in the effort, it shouldn't cost too much to bring Obelix up to the same standard. The thickened epoxy has cured, so let's go ahead and get these edges here trimmed. This thing is slowly turning into a pretty nice looking door, if I do say so myself. Everything else that's designed to be open and closed here aboard Athena, be it cabinet doors or door fronts, are dark wood, and I want the door also to be dark wood. But seeing as we don't know what type of door we want yet, do we want a French door, a folding in half door, or this type of door? It seems a little premature to go ahead and put a veneer on this, so I'm going to hold off on doing that until we have firmly decided what type of door we want. The door still fits. That's certainly good news. The reason we haven't figured out what type of door we want yet is because there are downsides to every single type of door I can think of. With a full-size door like this one, it's kind of hard to get through here. With a French door, which is basically just this door cut in half, there's going to be something protruding out over here that's going to be in the way. My favorite right now is to cut the door in half and then add a piano hinge here to have a folding door. But the downside to that is we can't have a regular door handle here because that'll keep the door from folding up flat when it's over here. So yeah, we'll see what we end up going with. But for now, a door is really nice to have. Of course, a door works way better with hinges. I couldn't find the old ones, so I had to pick up some new ones, and they don't match the size of the old ones. These are just a hair over 8 millimeters thick. It looks like I will have to remove about 3 millimeters of the old door frame. It looks like the hinge now fits. I'll go ahead and repeat the process for the bottom hinge. Installing the hinges should be my last chance to mess up the door, so let's not take advantage of that. Fingers crossed. Let's see if the door will actually close. How freaking awesome is that? The reveal is pretty much nice and even. The door stays closed, and if I open it, well, it also stays open. What more could anybody want from a door? Well, except maybe a door handle, but I can't really fit that until we've decided what type of door we want. So yeah, if you guys have a suggestion for a door handle that works well with a folding door, then I would love to hear about it. And here is the door from the inside. Of course, the reason I'm so excited to have a door is because I've already moved into the forward cabin. Home sweet home. Now, it is a little bit cramped in here, but at least I'm never far away from my tools, which is nice. Next week, I hope to get started on the projects aboard Obelix and get her ready for sail. There's also one project I'd like to take care of here aboard Athena, and that's to have some light switches out in the forward cabin, because right now when I want to go to bed, I gotta unscrew the connection to the bus bar to turn off the light switches. Maybe not that user-friendly. I have this feeling that there was something I wanted to mention in this video, but I can't remember what it was. If I remember, then I'll put it in a pinned comment down below. Other than that, that is going to be the end of this week's video. I hope to see you back here aboard Athena and Obelix next week for yet more DIY fun. As always, feel free to leave a comment down below, and don't forget, if you've enjoyed this video, remember to leave a like. See you!